The shimmering portal, a tear in reality woven from moonlight and regret, spat Ilara onto cold, unforgiving stone. The air hung thick with the scent of damp earth and something older, something metallic and faintly sorrowful. Gone was the familiar chaotic symphony of Neo Viridia, the city that thrummed with artificial life and the relentless beat of hovercars. This was silence, broken only by the rustling of unseen things in the shadows. Ilara, or Dreamwalker as the whispers in the superhero community. Usually she controlled her jumps, guided by intense emotional resonance, echoes of pain or joy that tugged her through the dimensional veil. This time she'd been ripped through, dragged here against her will. She raised a hand, a habit she'd developed to ground herself. The touch of skin on skin, the whisper of fabric against her wrist, anything to remind her she was still Ilara, still herself. Before her stretched a vast, ruined temple, swallowed by the encroaching jungle columns, carved with grotesque figures that seemed to writhe in the dim light filtering through the canopy, stood like skeletal fingers reaching for a forgotten god. This place felt ancient, older than recorded history, a forgotten monument to a civilization that had vanished without a trace. Ilara knew, with a chilling certainty, that this wasn't just another alternate Earth. This was something different. Something wrong. She pulled her makeshift cowl tighter, the nano-weave fabric offering a modicum of protection against the oppressive humidity. Her suit, a patchwork of salvaged tech and experimental materials, was designed to adapt to different environments, but even it seemed strained by the alien atmosphere. The only response was the rustle of leaves and the distant cry of some unseen creature. She pressed on, deeper into the temple complex. The architecture was unsettling, a blend of brutal strength and unsettlingly organic forms. The carvings depicted scenes of ritualistic sacrifice, of beings with elongated skulls and eyes that burned with an unnatural light. It was a nightmare rendered in stone. She found him in the central chamber, bathed in an eerie green light emanating from a pulsating crystal at the room's center. Her best friend, her confidant, the closest thing she had to family. He was kneeling before the crystal, his hands outstretched, his face a mask of serene concentration. But something was off, terribly off. His eyes glowed with the same unsettling green light as the crystal, and a network of pulsating veins throbbed beneath his skin. "Kai?" Ilara whispered, her voice trembling. He didn't react. She moved closer, her hand reaching for the stunner hidden beneath her sleeve. "He cannot hear you, Dreamwalker," a voice rasped from the shadows. Standing in the doorway was a figure cloaked in shadow, their face obscured by a grotesque mask fashioned from bone and feathers. Their voice was distorted, a chorus of whispers that seemed to claw at her sanity. "Who are you?" Ilara demanded, trying to keep her voice steady. "We are the Keepers," the figure hissed. "We have been waiting for you." "Waiting for me? For what?" "To fulfill your destiny," the Keepers said, their voice laced with an unsettling amusement. "To make the ultimate sacrifice." The crystal was its anchor, and Kai, chosen for his unique psychic abilities, was its vessel. The crystal, it's feeding on him, Ilara realized, horror dawning in her eyes. "Indeed," the Keeper said, "but it is also offering him power, unimaginable power. He is becoming more than human." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you are the only one who can stop him," the Keeper said. "The crystal is attuned to Kai's emotional state. It amplifies his feelings, his desires. You, Dreamwalker, are the only one who can sever that connection." "How?" Ilara asked, her voice barely a whisper. "By betraying him," the Keeper said, their voice dripping with venomous satisfaction. "By breaking his heart." Ilara recoiled as if struck. "No," she said, shaking her head. "I can't. I won't." "You have no choice," the Keeper said. "If Kai becomes one with the entity, this world, and countless others, will be consumed. He will become a plague upon the multiverse. The fate of everything rests on your shoulders, Dreamwalker. Can you bear the weight?" Ilara stood there, frozen, torn between her loyalty to Kai and the unimaginable consequences of her inaction. She saw the veins pulsing beneath his skin, the vacant look in his eyes. She knew, deep down, that the Keeper was right. Days blurred into a nightmarish routine. Alara, under the watchful eyes of the Keepers, learned the truth about Kai's past, a past he had kept hidden from her. He had always felt different, out of sync with the world. He craved power, recognition, a sense of belonging. The entity, through the crystal, offered him all of that, and he was willingly surrendering himself to it. Ilara tried everything she could think of to reach him, to break the entity's hold. But the entity was always there, a shadowy presence lurking in the corners of his mind, whispering promises of power and glory. She learned that the only way to sever the connection was to shatter Kai's belief in her, to crush the trust he placed in her. It meant lying, manipulating, becoming the very thing she hated. It meant betraying her best friend to save the world. The final confrontation took place in the heart of the temple, beneath the pulsating green light of the crystal Kai, now almost completely transformed, stood before her, his eyes burning with an alien fire. "Join me together. We can reshape the universe. We can become gods." Ilara's heart broke. She looked at Kai, at the man she had laughed with, cried with, fought beside the man who had always been there for her, even when she didn't deserve it, and she knew what she had to do. "I can't, Kai," she said, her voice trembling. "I can't let you do this." "You don't understand," Kai said, his voice pleading. "This is our destiny. This is what we were meant for." "No," Alara said, steeling herself. "It's not. You're not yourself." She began to lay the groundwork for her betrayal, weaving a tapestry of lies and half-truths. She told him she had been working with the Keepers all along, that she had only pretended to care about him, that he was just a means to an end. She spoke of her own ambition, of her desire for power, of her willingness to sacrifice anything, even him, to achieve her goals. With each word, she saw the light in his eyes dim, replaced by a growing sense of betrayal and despair. The connection between him and the crystal wavered, the green light flickering erratically. "I thought you were my friend." "I'm sorry, Kai," Alara said, her voice choked with emotion, "but this is the only way." She finished her carefully constructed lie with a final, devastating blow. She revealed a fabricated vision of the future, a future where he, consumed by the entity, would become a tyrannical god, ruling the multiverse with an iron fist. She painted a picture of endless suffering and despair, all caused by him. The effect was immediate and profound. The crystal pulsed violently, its green light intensifying, then suddenly extinguished. He stumbled, clutching his head as the entity's influence receded. "Alara, what have I done?" he said, his voice filled with confusion and regret. But the entity wasn't finished. With a final surge of power, it lashed out, attempting to reclaim Kai, to drag him back into the fold. The temple shook, the ground trembling beneath their feet. The Keepers, sensing their victory slipping away, rushed forward, their bone masks glinting in the fading light. Alara knew she had to act fast. She channeled her dreamwalking powers, focusing all her energy on severing the remaining connection between Kai and the entity. It was a battle of wills, a struggle for Kai's soul. Finally, with a desperate surge of energy, she severed the connection. The entity screamed, a sound that echoed through the temple and reverberated in her very bones. It vanished, leaving behind only a void. Kai collapsed, unconscious. Alara rushed to his side, cradling him in her arms. She looked up at the Keepers, their faces hidden behind their grotesque masks. "You've done what was necessary, Dreamwalker," one of them said, "but the entity will return. This is just a temporary reprieve." "Then we'll be ready," Ilara said, her voice filled with determination. "We'll find a way to stop it once and for all." She knew the fight was far from over. The entity was still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its chance to return. But she also knew that she wasn't alone. She had Kai, and she had the knowledge and experience she had gained from this ordeal. Elara managed to escape the crumbling temple with Kai, the keepers fading back into the shadows, their purpose seemingly fulfilled. He remembered the things she had said, the fabricated visions of his tyrannical future. The trust was gone, replaced by a gaping wound that threatened to never heal. She explained everything, the keeper's manipulations, the horrifying consequences of Kai's connection to the entity, and the impossible choice she had been forced to make. Kai listened in silence, his expression unreadable. When she finished, he simply turned away. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Elara didn't give up. She helped Kai recover his powers, guiding him to control his abilities without the influence of any external entities. Slowly, painstakingly, trust began to rebuild, fragile as glass but stronger than before, forged in the crucible of shared trauma. One night, overlooking the neon-lit skyline of Neo Viridia, Kai finally spoke about the betrayal. "I understand why you did it, Elara," he said, his voice soft. "It doesn't make it hurt any less, but I understand I probably would have done the same thing." Elara smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. "We'll get through this, Kai," she said. "Together." The scar of their shared ordeal remained, a constant reminder of the price of heroism.